Hello, welcome to the Belief Lab, the podcast where we test what happens when beliefs stop being a fluffy idea that we all talk about and start becoming the foundation of everything you do. I'm Dr. Wendi, and I want to welcome you to the first ever episode of the Belief Lab. This is what seems to be a lifelong dream of mine, to really pour into you, to pour into others, to help you be the best version of yourself. I'm a professor at Texas A&M University, I'm a speaker, and I firmly believe that high achievers like you don't need more hustle, more time, or more pressure. They need more belief. I know this because I've lived this life, and through my struggles and through my challenges, I have created a method for learning how to increase your self-belief. And I want to share it with you. Because around here, we don't just talk about it, we build belief. So every week on this podcast, I'll share tools, stories, and strategies backed by research that help you break free from burnout, from doubting yourself, and to start leading from belief. So I'm going to start today by celebrating you. You are taking time out of your day to show up, to invest in yourself, even with all the other things that are going on around you and how life is throwing at you every day. You have decided that you matter because you do. And you know deep down what's holding you back is not your motivation. It's not another strategy. It's not another tool. It's truly the belief that you have from yourself. Because I firmly believe that we all come with potential. The potential to be who we want to be. The potential to do what we want to do. The potential to create the life that we've always dreamed of. The potential to believe we are good enough. But what's stopping us, what we don't all come with, is belief. Because potential can go either way. You can have the potential to do great things, or you can have the potential to doubt yourself and the potential to not feel like you are good enough. So we have to build belief to make sure that we achieve the potential that we want. So I want to start today by asking you a question. Have you ever wondered why you've checked all the boxes, the career, the family, the life you planned, and you still feel like something's missing? Well, here's the truth. You're trying to upgrade your results without upgrading your identity. So that's where we're going to start today. What is your identity? So I want to give you a little story of my life. I have always prided myself on the titles that I have. Professor, doctor, mom, wife, employee, friend, daughter, sister. But the thing is that I set unrealistic expectations for myself of what those titles meant. And I was constantly running this race of how do I become the best version of a mom, the best version of a professor, the best version of a wife. And while most people around me did not have those expectations of me, I did of myself. And in my struggle to keep up and in my struggle to be the best version of whatever I thought that title or role entailed, I was killing myself. I was absolutely killing myself. Some of you may be able to relate. But what I had to realize is that I am more than those titles. I am more than those roles. I am not just a mom and not just a professor and not just a wife. But who do I really want it to be? Because I would constantly keep striving for higher titles. But the title and the recognition and the respect that I thought that garnered me, I didn't believe in the version of myself, so it didn't really matter what title I was given. That's when I realized something had to change because I was living in this constant cycle of accomplish what I thought would make everything better and then still not feel good enough. And so set a new goal, set a new dream, accomplish the new title, the new role, the new letters behind my name, and still didn't feel good enough. If you're there today, I feel you. I see you. It's hard. And so today we're going to dive into an identity shift that you can't skip. And I'm breaking it down into 3 big ideas you need to understand if you want belief to stick. If you really want to stop worrying about keeping up with the rat race and all these titles, and you want to add belief in behind what you do and why you do it. Because you deserve it. And I truly mean, and I truly feel that gap between what we want and what we're getting, that gap is belief. And so stick with me today. We're going to walk through, like I said, 3 reasons, 3 big ideas that once we understand, belief will start sticking in our lives. And that's important. So the first point I want you to think about is you've never outperformed your self-belief, no matter how capable you are. Even if on the outside you look fantastic and you're doing all the things right. And I know that because that was me. I was doing everything that I was supposed to do. And on the outside, I looked like I had it all together. But on the inside, I was dying. I was dying because I was trying to keep up this image, even though I didn't believe in myself. So let me tell you a quick example. When I was working to get my PhD, my daughter was going through some health issues. I'll tell you more about those on a future episode. But my daughter was going through some health issues, and in her hospital room, I was still on Zoom calls, and I was still writing my dissertation, and I was still trying to find a way, can someone come to the hospital and pick up things for me? Can I mail things to my office? How can I still keep it all together? And in the process, what I realized is that in my mindset at the time of I have to still look like I have it all together, even though I've got this massive thing going on over here with my daughter's health, I still have to be able to keep it all together, that I was neglecting myself, my own health, and most importantly at the time, my daughter. While I was present in the space with her, I'm setting up Zoom calls were things that in the big scheme of things didn't matter at all. Didn't matter at all. Because I was afraid that if I didn't hold it all together, people would see me as a failure. I didn't believe I was good enough. I didn't believe that I had built up enough social capital or professional capital that I could take a step back and everything would be okay. And it wasn't that anyone else was putting that pressure on me. I was putting that pressure on myself. And honestly, it about killed me. So we know from research, specifically Harvard Business Review found that 70% of high performers experience imposter thoughts. We question our success even when evidence says otherwise. I did the same thing. Even though I had years of teaching and consulting behind me, even though I was becoming an expert in mindset, even though I taught other people how to shine and be the best version of themselves, how to be the best teacher, how to be the best researcher, how to be the best writer, I still didn't feel like I was good enough. And so that's why in that hospital room, I felt like I had to continue at the same pace, even though much of my personal world was just crumbling. So why do we do that? Why do we question our success even when evidence says otherwise? 70% of high achievers, 70% of us experience some sort of imposter syndrome. So why is that? It's because identity lags behind achievement. We think that we have to have proof first. That proof comes before anything else. That evidence. I have to prove that I'm worthy. I have to prove that I can do all of those things. And then I'll believe in myself. But that's actually backward. It's completely backward. But we have considered all the other different options and we don't know how to just believe in ourselves. But this gap, what I call the identity gap, is the distance between the version of yourself you're living out and the version of yourself you actually believe that you are. How you want to see yourself and how you want others to see you. Have you ever stopped and asked yourself that before? How do I want to be seen? How do I want people to see me? Not how do they see me? Because too often we allow external forces to influence what we do. We think that people have this expectation of us or this norm of who we are and how we show up, and we're afraid to go against that. Because if we go against what someone thinks we are, the identity that someone else has crafted for us, what does that mean? Will they not like us anymore? Will they not agree with us anymore? Will they not think we're good enough anymore? But at the end of the day, does any of that really matter? Does any of it really matter? We worry so much what other people think about us, but in reality, people are not thinking about us much at all. And so if your identity doesn't rise with your results, you'll sabotage your own success, or you'll burn yourself out trying to prove that you deserve it. I was there. You might be too. So that's our first point. Recognizing that you cannot outperform your self-belief. You've got to figure out that identity gap. The life you're living now, the identity you're living now, and the identity that you want to live. And then filling in that gap. Realizing that first of all, you're not an imposter. You are not an imposter. We are lifelong learners. Period. You cannot be an imposter when you're a lifelong learner. Because when you're a lifelong learner, you're a student. And students are not imposters. They're learning, they're developing, they're asking questions. We can be a student at any age. We should be a student at any age. I spent a great deal of my time at Texas A&M University teaching undergrads, and I love them. They're amazing. But we think that that's what a student looks like. Someone in their early 20s, trying out new things, no responsibilities, no cares in the world, even though my students would argue that that is wrong, and largely it is. But when we get older, oftentimes when you're at that high achieving stage that many of us are in, we think you can no longer be a student because you're not in your 20s. You have a family to support. You have people that are relying on you. But that is completely untrue. So change your shift today. That is one thing that I really hope you take away from this. Shift your mindset. Think about who you are as a learner and as a student differently. You cannot be an imposter when you're learning. So that's our first point. Second point that I want to cover today is belief drives behavior. So the reason you feel stuck isn't because you're lazy or unmotivated, even though you may think it is. It's because your belief system is still running on outdated programming. So let me give you an example of what this means. We think so often, again, kind of connected with that identity, that what we believe about ourselves is true, and there's nothing we can do to change it. There's nothing we can do to change it. Okay? So there were times in my life where I had to really stop and reevaluate who I was. You may do the same thing. But the problem is I often didn't stop and reevaluate who I was through the frame or the lens of who I wanted to be. It was who other people expected me to be, or who I wanted others to see me as. Not because that's what I really wanted. So let me back up for a second, because I know that can be confusing. It wasn't what the true me wanted. The me that sees my dreams and my goals that other people are probably going to make fun of, maybe, or see as unrealistic. So I would tame all of that and go, okay, well, I want to be seen as this. I want to be seen as this type of person, not the dreams that I have, not the big goals, not the starting my own business, not the changing the world. What are your big goals? Your goals that are so big that they scare you. I tell my students all the time, and I'm going to tell you the same thing. If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. But the thing that you have to realize is there's a difference between dreams and goals. Dreams stay in your head, goals get written down. So not only do you need to dream big in a way that scares you, because you think, oh my gosh, if this actually came true, what would this look like for me? But then you have to write it down and you have to make it real and you have to tell other people, regardless of what they think. And we'll have a whole other episode on worrying about what other people think. But I spent too much time trying to be what other people thought I should be. And I thought I was stuck because, well, I was burnt out. I couldn't give anymore. I was giving everything that I had. I never thought I was lazy. And I've always been a hard worker and I've always been an overachiever. But I was still running on that, well, people like me should stay here. Stay in your lane. You have a family to support. You have a child that's looking up to you. Stay in your lane. But what I realized is that my productivity and effort wasn't fixing the problem because my belief wasn't aligned. I either would have days where I'd really believe in myself, but my goals were so low it didn't matter. And then I'd have other times in my life, other signs, other scenes, other situations where my belief was low, but my goals were more aligned with where I wanted to be. But until we find that balance, it's not going to happen. Stanford University research shows that belief precedes action. Students, which all of us are, right? We just talked about that. Students with a growth mindset were 47% more likely to persist through challenges than those who doubted themselves. 47% more likely. Do you know they've done a ton of research, and what they have found is the people that really go for it are 2% of the population. 98% of us live in fear and wait till tomorrow. We say, oh, tomorrow I'll do the thing, whatever the thing is, whatever it is that you want. Tomorrow I will do it. Tomorrow I will take the first step. Tomorrow I will do all the things that I am hoping and dreaming for, because tomorrow will look different. Today I need more planning. Today I need to research one more thing, or I need to organize one more thing, or I need to set up more steps. But tomorrow I'll do it. And then tomorrow comes, and what do 98% of us do? We go, oh, not today, tomorrow. Not today, tomorrow. Not today, tomorrow. But the 2% of the population that don't do that, they go, no, today. Even if I'm doing it messy, even if I'm doing it scared, even if I'm doing it without the resources, without the support, without all the things that I need, it doesn't matter because I'm taking action today. Today. Behavior isn't about knowing what to do. It's about believing your actions will create a meaningful result. I teach my clients a great strategy that I love, and it's losing the wins. So stop saying win. Because too often, and if you think about your own life, you probably do it too, we say things like, when I lose weight, then I'll go on that cruise, or go to the beach, or start exercising. When my kids move out of the house, then I will invest in myself. Then I'll start that business I've wanted to start. Then I will, whatever. But the problem with that is when never comes. It never comes. And it does a horrible thing to our mindset because it's telling ourselves that we're not good enough yet. We're not good enough right now. Because that when is when we'll be good enough. But that's such a massive lie. Because you have exactly what you need to get started today. Now, do you have everything that you need to achieve every goal you've ever wanted? No, absolutely not. But when you take that first step, because belief, I feel, is about action. You have to take action. And so when you take that first step and you're successful, then it tells your brain, you know what, I can do this. And so you take another step that's maybe a little scarier or has more risk involved. And then you're successful at that. And you start building on those steps. You've probably all seen the visual of the staircase. That it's like, if you look at the whole daunting staircase and you're like, I can never achieve that. I can never reach that top step. But if you don't only focus on the end result and instead you focus on every tiny step along the way and making forward motion every tiny step along the way, that's belief. then you're in the 2%. You do it messy, you do it scared, you do it anyway because it matters. It matters to you, it matters to the people in your life. I think so often when I face fear, I think, okay, it'd be so easy to quit. So easy to quit. I actually have a Post-it note on my desk. See if y'all can see it. It says, don't quit. I'm learning something I will need later. But even with all these Post-it notes, if y'all saw my desk, you'd probably be amazed at how many motivational pieces I have sticking out. But it's easy to quit for myself. Because you know what? If I quit, then nobody else knows. I have to deal with it fine, but it's easier. But the reason that I don't quit, the reason I keep going, is because I want to be a good role model for my daughter. I care more about her success than I do my own. And maybe that's not the right motivation. Frame that how you want. But I want her to see what achieving your dreams looks like. I want her to see what a strong woman who believes in herself looks like. I want her to see what it looks like to fail and try anyway and not give up. To learn from your failure. Now, do I do it perfect every day? Absolutely not. Oh my gosh. Even though I'm a mindset expert, even though I research belief for a living, and I've been doing this for years, I still fail all the time. But I'm in the 2% that does it anyway. So find your motivation. Find the thing, the person, if it's not you, that's going to drive your behavior. Because you start, belief drives your behavior, but you've got to have something that makes it worth it. And those days when it's not you, most days it's me. Most days I'm like, I deserve better than this. I want more than this. I know that I'm worthy of my belief. But on days when that fails, it's my daughter that keeps me going. So that's point number 2. Remember that every action you take confirms your identity. If you believe you're always behind, you'll act like it. If you believe you're capable of change, you'll behave your way into it. So your action confirms your identity. Start taking steps today to be the person that you want to be, even if no one's watching. Okay, our third and final point is micro beliefs equal macro results. So you don't need endless confidence. You only need 10 seconds of belief at a time. 10 seconds. If you've ever followed Mel Robbins, if you don't, she's fantastic. But if you've ever followed Mel Robbins, she talks a lot about the 5-second rule. And the idea behind the 5-second rule, if you're not familiar, is that there's a 5-second gap between deciding you're going to do something and actually doing it. 5 seconds. And in those 5 seconds is where emotion gets involved. So let's take, for example, getting out of bed in the morning. Your alarm goes off and you lay there and you think, okay, you hit your alarm. And you're like, I need to get up. And your first thought is either, okay, I have all these things I need to do today. I'm going to get up. Or, oh, I'm really tired. I had a long night. Would it really matter if I snooze for another 10 minutes? And that emotional piece, that 5 seconds between when you decide you need to get up and actually getting up, influence everything. Influence everything. And so what Mel Robbins teaches us is that as soon as you make a decision, you count to 5 and you do it. So you're like, oh, I need to get up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I get up. I don't think about it. I don't allow my head to be like, oh, I'm too tired, or oh, today's going to be horrible, or oh, I don't really know if I need to do that extra thing this morning. I know I'm supposed to get up and exercise, or I know I'm supposed to get up and do my morning routine. Don't let any of that in. Just get up. Or if you're at an event where you need to go introduce yourself to someone and you're like, yeah, next time, because I don't really feel confident doing it. I don't really want to go out. I know I need to introduce myself, but I'm just letting fear get in the way. You don't do that. You go, okay, I need to go meet that person. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you go. You don't think about it. And the same applies to belief. Now, I do give you 10 seconds instead of 5, Because there's a little bit more to it than just I'm going to get out of bed, I'm going to walk across the room and introduce myself to something. But you have to take action in order to get to your bigger breakthroughs. Psychology Today reports that small wins increase dopamine, which fuels motivation and compounds your progress over time. You've got to increase that dopamine in your brain. And notice I said small wins. Research doesn't show large wins. You don't need these huge pieces. We celebrate those all the time. You need the small wins because that's what gets you going. So this is what I call the 10-second belief reset. And I love it because I can do it anywhere, anytime. It doesn't take any extra tools and it's quick. So what you do first is you recognize the trigger. What is it that's causing you to not believe in yourself? Not believe you're capable, not believe you're worthy, not believe you deserve it, whatever that looks like. What is the trigger? Is it something someone said? Is it something that you have told yourself because you've been in situations before and it hasn't worked out the way you wanted? What is the trigger? So start by recognizing the trigger. The second thing, is to pause and breathe. So just give yourself a second. Go, okay. Last time I did this, let's take, for example, I really want to post something on social media. I really do. Maybe you're trying to start your own business. Maybe you're trying to increase your social media presence. Maybe you're trying to sell something. And you're like, I need to start posting on social media. Everybody, all the people, all the gurus tell me I need to start having a social media presence, but I don't like the thought of having my face or my voice or any of that out there. So recognize that trigger. What is it that makes you uncomfortable? What is it? Are you worried about what other people are going to think? Are you worried about that you're going to come across as inarticulate? Are you worried about your hair or your makeup or your clothes? What is it? And then pause and breathe and recognize, okay, first of all, nobody cares. No one's paying attention to me anyway. They're paying attention to themselves. And if they are paying attention to me, what can I do to really give them something to pay attention to? Pause and breathe. And then choose one tiny action you take if you already believed in yourself. If you're like, okay, what if I believed I could post something on social media today? What if it's going to be one picture? I don't need to get out there and do a whole big video or a whole podcast episode like this. I just want to post a few words and a picture. What would that look like? And then do it. Do it. Recognize the trigger. Pause and breathe. Choose one tiny action that you would take if you already believed in yourself. If I was in the room with you, what would I tell you to do? If someone that you really look up to, maybe someone you do follow on social media, maybe someone that you're trying to model, if they were in the room, what would they tell you to do? And then do the thing. Do the thing. What's the worst that can happen? Let me tell you from experience, if it's the posting on social media thing, because of the algorithm, most people aren't going to see it anyway. But it may be speaking up in a meeting. It may be sending an email. It may be going to your boss and having a conversation about a raise or about a concern you have or about a new idea that will change the trajectory of your company. So choose one tiny action. Send one email. Take one picture. Let someone know that you want to have a conversation. You have to take the action. You deserve it. And in those 10 seconds, you don't let yourself overthink it. You recognize the trigger, you pause and breathe, you choose one tiny action you take if you already believed, and you do it. 10 seconds. You hit send, you hit post, you talk to your boss, you talk to your spouse, whatever it is, and do it. One tiny action. And then, like I said, when you take that one tiny action, and then you're like, okay, that actually wasn't so bad. Maybe you get a good response. Maybe you get no response. Maybe you get a bad response. And if you do, you're like, okay, that didn't land well. What will I do different next time? Because you're learning. You're learning. Because failure, and you've heard it said many times, that failure is only failure if you don't learn from it. Because failure is feedback. Feedback is knowledge. Knowledge then helps you take action. So you're learning. Treat it as such. So belief isn't built in leaps. Keep in mind, it's those tiny steps. It's built in micro decisions. When you stack enough of those tiny steps, your identity begins to shift. So that's our 3 points. Point number 1 is your identity gap, right? You can't outperform your self-belief, no matter how capable you are, so stop trying. Second point, belief drives behavior. Belief drives behavior. Belief is the number 1 reason that you don't have what you want. It's not motivation. It's not time management. It's not burnout. It's belief. Start increasing your belief today, which then will change your behavior because you'll start acting differently. And that's when you get what you want. And then the third point was micro beliefs, macro results. Start small today. Today we talked about that identity shift that you can't skip. Why success often feels empty without belief. Because you keep trying to get that additional title, that additional raise, that additional role, but it doesn't fulfill you. Your identity shapes every action you take. And tiny belief moments change everything. So I want to end today with one of my favorite quotes by the late Maya Angelou. And she says, "Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better." After today's episode, hopefully you know a little better. So take action today. And if this episode sparked something in you, here's your challenge. Do an identity audit today. Write down the 3 sentences you tell yourself about who you are and ask if they still serve the version of you you're becoming. Because you get to decide how you're seen and how you want to see yourself. Nobody else. If you love today's episode, please hit subscribe. Share it with a friend who's ready to believe bigger. Because not only do we deserve to believe ourselves, we deserve to help others. So remember, I believe in you. I believe in the person that you're becoming. I believe in the identity that you want to have for yourself. And this is the Belief Lab, where belief stops being invisible and starts becoming the force that drives everything. Celebrate you and that you were here today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.